Her name was Iris Vaughn, and she hated her boss. Not the kind of hate you feel for someone who's rude or annoying. No, this was different. She hated him because he was dangerous, cold, untouchable, and because every time he looked at her, she felt like prey. His name was Dominic Cross. They called him the Reaper in the underground. Not because he killed people himself, though he had, but because when he decided someone was done, they disappeared. No trial, no mercy, no second chances. Iris worked as his executive assistant. She didn't know what he really did at first. She thought Cross Industries was just another corporate empire. Steel, shipping, real estate. But 6 months in, she found a file on his desk. Photos, names, locations, a list of people who owed him money. And next to each name, a red X. She'd tried to quit 3 times. Each time, he said the same thing. You're free to leave, Miss Vaughn. But you know too much now. And people who know too much don't live long outside my protection. So she stayed. Not because she wanted to. Because she had no choice. Before we continue, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and comment where you are watching from. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us bring you even more powerful stories. It was a Tuesday morning when everything changed. Iris walked into Dominic's office with his coffee, black, no sugar, exactly 180 degrees. He didn't look up from his desk. He never did. We're leaving in an hour, he said. His voice was low, controlled, empty. Leaving? She asked. Italy. A meeting in Rome. Pack light. I don't have a passport ready for. It's already handled. Of course it was. Dominic Cross didn't ask. He commanded, and the world bent to him. The private jet was sleek, cold, silent, just like him. Iris sat across from Dominic, her hands folded in her lap. He worked on his laptop, his jaw tight, eyes unreadable. She hated the way he made her feel. Small, trapped, seen. For 2 hours, neither of them spoke. Then, somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, the plane shuddered. Hard. Iris gripped the armrest. Dominic didn't move. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. Sir, we've lost engine 2. I'm going to try to. Then the world tilted, and everything went black. Iris woke to the smell of smoke and salt. Her head throbbed. Her vision blurred. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then she remembered. The plane. She tried to sit up. Pain shot through her ribs. Don't move. His voice. Cold. Close. She turned her head slowly. Dominic was crouched beside her, his shirt torn, blood streaking his temple. But his eyes, those sharp, unfeeling eyes, were locked on hers. You're hurt, he said. I'm fine, she whispered. You have a broken rib. Maybe 2. And a concussion. How do you? Because I've seen it before. He said it like it was nothing. Like broken bones were just part of his world. Maybe they were. They were on an island. Small. Rocky. Covered in dense forest. The plane had crashed into the ocean a quarter-mile offshore. They'd barely made it to land. The pilot was dead. Iris didn't ask how Dominic knew. She didn't want to know. Where are we? She asked, her voice shaking. I don't know. It was the first time she'd ever heard him say those words. And somehow, that scared her more than the crash. Dominic built a fire without speaking. Iris watched him from where she sat, leaning against a tree, her ribs screaming with every breath. He moved with precision. Control. Even here, stranded, injured, alone, he was still in command. Why did you pull me out? She asked quietly. He didn't look at her. Because you're useful. The words stung. But she didn't know why. That's it, she said. I'm useful. He finally looked at her. And for just a second, something flickered in his eyes. Something almost human. That's it, he said. But his voice was softer than before. And Iris didn't believe him. The island was beautiful in the daylight. But beauty didn't matter when you were hungry. When your ribs felt like broken glass. When the only person you had was someone you feared. Dominic had barely slept. Iris could tell. His eyes were darker. His jaw tighter. He'd stayed awake, watching the tree line. Watching her. Why didn't you sleep? She asked. Someone had to. You don't trust me. He glanced at her, his expression unreadable. I don't trust anyone. They walked the shoreline, looking for wreckage. Supplies. Anything. Iris limped behind him, biting back the pain. He slowed. Not much. But enough. You're in pain, he said without turning around. I'm fine. You're not. Then what do you want me to do? Sit and wait to die? He stopped, turned, and for the first time since the crash, he really looked at her. Not as an assistant, not as a liability, but as a person. No, he said quietly. I want you to survive. There was something in his voice, something raw, and Iris realized, maybe for the first time, that Dominic Cross wasn't just dangerous. He was broken. They found a cave that afternoon. It was dry, hidden, safe. Dominic checked it twice before letting her inside. Iris sat on the cool stone floor and finally let herself cry. Not loud, not dramatic, just silent tears she couldn't hold back anymore. She thought he didn't notice. But when she looked up, he was standing at the cave entrance, his back to her. His shoulders were tight, his fists clenched. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? For being weak. He turned slowly, and his eyes, those cold, merciless eyes, were filled with something she didn't expect. Anger. But not at her. You're not weak, he said. You survived a plane crash. You're walking on broken ribs. And you haven't asked me to save you once. His words hit her harder than the crash. You're stronger than you think, Iris. It was the first time he'd ever used her name. And she didn't know why, but it made her chest ache. 3 days passed. They didn't talk much. But they learned. She learned that Dominic could make fire from almost nothing. That he knew which plants were safe to eat. That he checked her wounds every morning without asking. He learned that Iris was stubborn. That she didn't complain, even when she was in pain. That she hummed softly when she thought he wasn't listening. It was a song he didn't recognize. But it made the silence less heavy. One night, Iris woke to find him sitting at the edge of the cave, staring out at the ocean. She sat beside him. He didn't move. Can't sleep? She asked. Never could. Why? He was quiet for a long time. Then, because the people I've hurt don't let me. His voice was so low she almost didn't hear it. But she did. And she understood. Do you regret it? She asked carefully. Some of it. Not all. He looked at her. And in the moonlight, he looked almost human. No, he said. Not all. She should have been afraid. But she wasn't. Because for the first time she saw him. Not the Reaper. Not the monster. Just a man carrying more weight than anyone On the 5th day they found wreckage. Part of the plane's tail had washed ashore. Inside, a medical kit, 2 bottles of water, and a flare gun. Iris wanted to cry with relief. But Dominic's face was stone. We can signal for help, she said. Not yet. What? Why? He turned to her, his eyes hard. Because the people who want me dead will come first. Her stomach dropped. You think the crash wasn't an accident? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Sound, heavy breathing. Footsteps running. That night, Iris woke to Dominic shaking her. Get up. Now. What? Quiet. His hand covered her mouth. And then she heard it. Voices. Men. Clothes. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Dominic pulled her deeper into the cave, his body between her and the entrance. His hand moved to his belt. He had a knife. Iris didn't even know he had a knife. If they find us, he whispered, stay behind me. No matter what. Dominic. Promise me. She nodded. And in that moment, she realized something terrifying. She trusted him. The men found them. 3 of them. Armed. Trained. Ruthless. But Dominic was faster. Iris watched, frozen, as he moved like a shadow. 1 man went down. Then another. The 3rd pulled a gun. And Dominic didn't hesitate. He drove the knife into the man's side, twisted, and let him drop. It was over in seconds. Iris couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Dominic turned to her, blood on his hands, his chest heaving. Are you hurt? He asked. She shook her head. He stepped toward her. She stepped back, and something flickered in his eyes. Pain. Iris. You killed them, she whispered. To protect you. You didn't even hesitate. No, he said quietly. I didn't. Because this was who he was. And she'd just seen it. She didn't speak to him for hours. Dominic didn't push. He cleaned the bodies. Hid them. Checked the perimeter. And when he came back, Iris was sitting by the fire, her arms wrapped around her knees. He sat across from her. I won't apologize, he said. I know. But I need you to understand something. She looked up. His eyes were steady. Honest. I've done terrible things. I'll probably do more. But I will never let anyone hurt you. Not while I'm alive. Her throat tightened. Why? She whispered. Why do you care? He looked away. I don't know. But she thought maybe, just maybe, he did. The storm came on the 7th night. Not heavy, just steady. They stayed in the cave, the fire barely holding against the damp air. Iris sat close to the flames, shivering. Dominic took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. She looked up at him, surprised. "You'll freeze," she said. "I've been colder." She believed him. "Why did you really save me?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, "Because you looked at me like I was human." Her breath caught. "What?" He stared into the fire. "Everyone else looks at me and sees a monster. A weapon. A thing to fear." He paused. "But you looked at me like I was a man." Iris felt her chest tighten. "You are a man," she said softly. He shook his head. "I stopped being one a long time ago." "No." She moved closer. "You're still here. You're still fighting. That makes you human." He finally looked at her. And for the first time, she saw him completely. Vulnerable. Lost. Afraid. "I don't know how to be anything else," he whispered. "Then let me show you." She didn't know where the words came from, but she meant them. On the 9th day they heard it. A helicopter. Iris's heart leaped. Dominic's face went cold. "Stay here," he said. "What?" "No. Iris. Stay. Here." He grabbed the flare gun and walked toward the beach. Iris followed anyway, because she wasn't leaving him. Not now. The helicopter landed. 4 men stepped out. They wore suits. Dark glasses. They worked for Dominic. One of them, tall, sharp-eyed, nodded at Dominic. "Sir, we've been searching for 6 days." "I know. We have a med team waiting." "She goes first," Dominic said, nodding toward Iris. The man's eyes flicked to her, then back to Dominic. "Understood." They flew back to the mainland in silence. Iris sat beside Dominic, her hand resting on the seat between them. And slowly, so slowly she almost didn't notice, his hand moved toward hers. Their fingers touched. He didn't pull away. Neither did she. And in that moment, somewhere between survival and safety, everything changed. They were back in New York within 12 hours. Iris was taken to a private hospital. Dominic disappeared. She didn't see him for 3 days. And it hurt more than her ribs. On the 3rd night, he came. No warning. No call. Just walked into her room like he owned it. Which, knowing him, he probably did. "You're alive," she said. "So are you." He stood at the foot of her bed, hands in his pockets, his face unreadable. "Why didn't you come sooner?" she asked. He didn't answer. She sat up, wincing. "Dominic, I thought it would be easier," he said quietly. "What would?" "Letting you go." Her heart stopped. "Go." He looked away. "You're free, Iris. I've wiped your file. New identity. New life. You can leave. Start over. Forget all of this." She stared at him. "You're letting me go?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because you deserve better than this. Better than me." She should have been relieved. She should have thanked him. But instead, she was furious. "You don't get to decide that," she said. He looked at her, stunned. "What? You don't get to save my life, make me trust you, and then just walk away." "Iris, I'm not afraid of you anymore, Dominic. I'm afraid of losing you." Silence. Heavy. Aching. Real. Then, he moved. Crossed the room in 3 steps. Sat on the edge of her bed. And took her hand. "I don't know how to do this," he whispered. "Neither do I. I'm not a good man. I know. I'll hurt you. Maybe." She squeezed his hand. "But I'm not leaving." And for the first time in years, Dominic Cross smiled. 2 weeks later, someone tried to kill them. It was late. Iris was at Dominic's penthouse. She'd moved in, not officially, but she hadn't left. They were sitting on the couch, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. Then the window exploded. Dominic threw her to the ground, his body covering hers. 3 more shots. Then silence. "Stay down," he growled. He pulled a gun from under the couch, because of course he had one there, and moved toward the window. Iris's ears were ringing, her hands shaking. But she wasn't afraid, because he was there. The shooter was gone. Dominic's men arrived within minutes. The police didn't, because Dominic Cross didn't call the police. He called his own kind of justice. Later that night, Iris found him on the roof. He was sitting on the edge, staring at the city. She sat beside him. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No. Me neither." He looked at her. "This is my life, Iris. This is what it means to be with me. You'll always be a target." "I know. Then why are you still here?" She took his face in her hands. Because I'd rather be in danger with you than safe without you. His eyes closed, and when he opened them, they were wet. I love you, he whispered. It was the first time he'd ever said it. And Iris knew, no matter what came next, she loved him too. They went back to the island, not the one they crashed on. A different one Dominic bought. Because that's what Mafia kings do. They stood on the beach, hand in hand, watching the sunset. Do you ever regret it? Iris asked. What? Staying with me. He turned to her, kissed her forehead. Never. She smiled. Because she believed him. And somewhere between a plane crash and a love that should have been impossible, they'd found something real. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is let someone love you. The end. If this story made you feel something, drop a comment. Tell me, would you survive with someone you feared? Or would love change everything? And if you stayed until the end, thank you. You're the reason stories like this exist.